Hi, everybody. Welcome along to another Friday live session. Um, I'm going to start with a bit of an apology. It is boiling hot here today. It's so humid. And unfortunately, this studio's got a lot of glass down one side, and we've got a flat roof. And it's a little bit warm, to say the least. But there you go. We'll live with that. Um, so, look, what today. Best laid plans and all that. I usually spend Friday morning preparing for the webinar. Something unforeseen cropped up this morning, so literally this is very much on the fly today. So I hope you'll bear with me. And what I thought we'd do, we'll have a look at a couple of things. I want to start by having a look at a feature that in the last few weeks has, I'm going to say, reappeared on Korg PA, because this is something that was on PA4X and everybody was screaming out for when it disappeared. And finally, it's back on PA5X. For those of you that don't know, there was quite a large upgrade, to be fair, on PA5X a couple of weeks or so ago. And my honest opinion, we're going very, very much in the right direction with this product. Korg always do this, so don't sort of over panic. If you look at PA4X towards the end of its life, and if you could find a PA4X as it was the day it was released, they're chalk and cheese. They're totally different products. Korg are great, albeit maybe a bit slow sometimes for our liking, but they work away in the background. They do listen. Obviously, I read forums. I try and avoid them like the plague, because I think people just get so angry these days. I've got PA5X, I've got Genos. Yeah, I can sit here and, like everybody else, I can pick faults. I don't want to do that. I want to actually sit down and enjoy what I've got. And if it hasn't got everything on, I work around it. And that's why I want to show you one of what I consider the main new features, which is the Chaos Pad. Strange name, I know. One of the things that I'm always jealous when I've been sitting at the PA5X is that when I'm on my Genos, we've got this wonderful thing called dynamic control, which really enables you to create variations on variations. Well, guess what? We can do it on PA5X now. And in a way, I'm going to say this, and I have to be very careful because I don't want to be critical of one product or another. But I think this has taken this idea of being able to vary the variations on the rhythm to yet another level. So look, let me put this on first. I'm going to change the screen so that you can all see what's going on. We're going to the multi-screen. And this is Chaos Pad. Now, I've got it in expanded mode at the minute. There's a little arrow up there. I can have it in a small way, just in the bottom 2/3 of the screen. But just for the benefit of you seeing what's going on, we'll use it like this. Now, it's not obvious how it works. That's the thing I will say. Now, what I'm going to do, look, if I pull this menu down, you can see there's 1,000,001 things that Chaos Pad can be assigned to do. And when you've been through them all, which good luck to you with that, take about a month, you can actually put your favorite functions in here. So you can actually customize what you want it to do. So I'm going to show you this first one, Density 1 and Filter. Now this is, as near as damn it, what dynamic control is doing on Genos. So if we look here, you're going to have to trust me unless you want to count them. There's 16 long rectangles divided by this sort of orangey red bar across the middle. When we touch on the orange and red bar that is the rhythm in its normal state. But something interesting happens. Look, every 4 rectangles, it will change to the next variation. And we go through. So we can actually now change variation. Well, let's just do it. Let's just put a style on. I won't get it too loud. Now, what I'm going to do is start to drag my finger across there, and you'll hear it go through the variations. Three, and up to 4. Now, that's not what it's all about, but it does mean, actually, if you want now, you can change variation using the rhythms. But if we look at each variation is split into 4 sections. Now, have a look what I can do. If I start the rhythm going on, variation 1. When I press anywhere in that first, we've just taken it back to drums. Look what happens in the second one. Our bass has come back in. Third one. We've got some funky guitars coming in. And the fourth one is everything back in. Now, I can make it brighter or I can make it more bassy by just adding filters. So the variation I can now get by just moving my finger around is amazing. But here's the problem. You can't be playing and moving your finger around at the same time. So when you get something you like, if you hold the shift button and tap there, it will freeze a point on the screen, and that's what you'll get. Soon as you touch, I can go off elsewhere. Trust me, I've played with this for hours the other day. It's brilliant because you can get literally multiple variations, but very distinct variations. So if you literally just want drums on their own for a few bars, just hit there. Then bring everything back in. I think that's a brilliant feature. Now, let's go to a different function. Let's go to density and rhythm rig. Now, this is totally different now. We've still got our columns, but now look, when I don't know how easy you can see this, when I touch the bar below the orange bar, it will select an analog drum kit. When I come down to the next row, it selects a hip-hop drum kit, jazz drum kit, lounge drum kit. We can go above, room drum kit, funk, rock, dance. Let's see the effect of it. Let's put a higher variation on. So there's your hip-hop drums. Let's go to jazz. Let's go above. And again, you can use the shift and press one of the squares to actually freeze it. So, look, Chaos Pad, it literally... somebody's saying, can you freeze multiple points? No, you can't. But that is a good point, and it's something I'll rather be honest with you today. I haven't tried and see whether I can save this setting into a songbook entry and it will remember the freeze. I haven't had a chance to go that far with it yet, but I will report as soon as I find out. You can do some other things. You can add arpeggios. Again, with different filters on, so you can have them a little bit more dull, you can have them bright. You can do all sorts of things. There's some weird and wonderful things. This one, ending, I think it's repeat and shift. So, you know, if you're into weird and wonderful effects, but actually some of them are absolutely brilliant. And again, I will just show you the amount of functions you've got. Each one of these is a function which then has multiple settings on it. So I really just wanted to show you that because I think that is a brilliant feature. We go back to people asking about writing styles. Actually, there's a couple of things we're going to look at today that I think are as good as trying to start and write a style from scratch. It's a long, long job. I know one of my colleagues up in Scotland is delving into the world of style writing at the minute, and it's a long, long process, and it's a huge learning curve. But using things like Chaos Pad, if you're on Genos, use dynamic accompaniment, you can in effect create new styles, because what it's doing, it's taking parts out, it's muting parts, it's altering the filters in parts. It just covers so many parameters. It's fantastic. So look, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to go over the whole update of PA5X other than, as I say, to give you my opinion. I think it's a great update. No, not everything has happened. I know there's people, including myself, who would still like the, let's call it the easy record function. So you go into the sequencer and you just use the style to create your first 8 tracks, if you like. You can do it on PA1000. You used to be able to do it on PA4X, but unfortunately you can't. One of the reasons you can't on PA5X is that this is classed as a professional arranger, and unfortunately with that and all these functions comes the fact that they assume that you can sequence things from scratch. I know that's not always the case, and you know, even I would prefer to be able to take a drum part. I'd like to take a bass line out of one of the styles and build up my own sort of unique sequence, but I'm sure it will come, so don't shout at me. I'm sure it's on its way. Now, we've been busy working away in the last sort of couple of months to put together a package which I just felt was right for a lot of home players and even semi-pro players, because there are certain things that when it first comes out the box, I don't think have been done maybe as well as they could have been. I know I got my head bitten off for saying that last time, but even if this is bought by a semi-pro or a pro player, you know, to have that sort of core registrations and all that have been done properly, it's nice. In anybody's books, it's nice. So what we've been doing, myself and my colleague Dave Medcalf, and if any of you have taken the magazine this week, you'll have read all about Dave. He's a hell of a character, and a great style writer, and above all, great musician, great friend. So it's lovely to be working with him again. So what we've done, we decided to put together, we've called it the PA5X toolkit. Strange name, but actually what we've done is put together all the little bits that you need to make your own registrations up. So if I look at styles here, we have now, I think to date, I've done 80. There's new styles in there. Now, some of them are taken from other instruments, even other Korg instruments, but I've revoiced, used all the new voicing with them again. So we'll run through a few of those in just a while. What we've also done is created, I think at last count, we're getting on for 200 keyboard sets. Now, if any of you don't own a Korg product, let me just explain what a keyboard set is. When you make a mixture, well, even if you took an individual sound and you put reverbs on it and things like that, or just any effects at all, you can then save that in your keyboard set library. And why would you want to do that? Well, basically it means once that sound has been created, you will never have to make that sound again. Now, you just imagine you've spent 10 or 15 minutes layering, let's say, 3 string sounds together. You've got different octaves, you've got different reverbs, you've panned them left and right. Quite a lot of work involved. What you then do is you go to the 3 lines at the top when you're on your main screen, and you would put Save Keyboard Set. And that will securely save that sound in the library down here. And it just means you can call that sound up whenever you want. And the beauty of these sounds, they're not tied to a rhythm. So normally, if you would call it what we would traditionally call a registration on a lot of instruments, a lot of the time the rhythm and the style and the tempo has been programmed with it. That's not the case here. I've got that soul rhythm on. I could go here and I could go, for example, into my new electric piano bank, and I can choose any single one of those that I want, and that soul rhythm remains, but I've got my new sound. So that's what keyboard sets are about. And what we've done, I've done a bank of, called them Ballad Orchestral. Then we've got orchestra and vocal. So that's the bigger orchestra sound. We've got brass ensemble sounds. We've got a load of new organ sounds, including some sort of classic drawbar settings. We've got dance and big band. We've got pianos, pages of new pianos. Some of them are mixed, so, you know, some of them have pads and strings with them. We've got electric pianos. We've got some solos. Basically, a lot of these have had vibratos altered. They've had effects put on, etc. We've got some pages of guitars. We've got some pages of synth pads. Some nice... I don't think pads are used enough, and you know, you can create some lovely, lovely sounds there. And I've just started and almost finished a bank called No Split. So let me just explain this, and then we'll get on with some music. Every single one of these, I have put a split point in it. So why have I done that? Because if you go to Korg's factory settings, they are great, but here's the problem. You're playing away and you think, oh, I'll have Korg setting for an Austrian grand. Choose it. What happens? Their setting has been saved without the split point. So if you're playing with a style, you've suddenly lost control over that style, and you'll end up with a piano sound thumping away down in the left hand here, which you don't want. So every single one of ours, we've got the split. So that's why I've then done a bank called No Split. So for instance, you know, I've got classical strings here. I've got to show you this one. Now, I know I'm sweltering here in the heat, but this one I made up the other day. It's called Christmas Piano. So it's a mixture of a lead piano, so it's got some pad sounds, got Celeste, and it's got a sound called Orgle, which is nothing to do with an organ. It's this lovely little bell sound. And if you add the Celeste in as well, then add the piano in, and I think that makes a lovely little thing there. Somebody's asked me, can I turn the music up just a bit? I turned it down earlier for a tempt fate, but hopefully that'll be okay. So yeah, so we've got at least 180 keyboard sets for you, and the final bit of the package, and then I promise you we'll start demonstrating them, is we've created some new pads. Now, pads again are I think it's the easiest way to have a go at creating a new style, because it's all a pad is one part out of a style. So if you can master creating a pad, then by all means have a look at going on to a style. But yeah, we've done some new pads here. Again, they're all categorized. So we've got some new piano arpeggios, so things like this classical piano. Obviously, these will follow the chord. And they will take the tempo of the rhythm. I've done one called Coldplay arpeggio. This is the typical Coldplay arpeggio. Oh, sorry, I keep pressing the rhythm instead of pressing stop on the pad. So we've got loads of piano arpeggios here. Let's try this one. I remembered to press the stop this time. So there's loads in there. There's some vocal ones. Again, I'm going to give you some musical examples of these. I've done cinematic movie. So we've got some cinematic orchestra things. We've got string ostinatos. If you don't know what an ostinato is, that's when the strings make really fast movements in the background. Those sort of things. Hear that? And they're great for just adding into those sort of movie sounds as well. We've got guitar strums, we've got vocal, we've got waltz time, we've got piano vamps, all sorts. So there's at least, I think it's 100 and odd new pads there as well. So look, let me plug the iPad in, because believe me, having had no preparation, I need some music for this. Let's just go through one or two of these new styles. One area that I feel is missing a little bit on a lot of modern instruments is just some straightforward ballads that you can play. I think some of the style writers have got too clever now, and they're putting, you know, fancy offbeats in and things like that, whereas I think there's still very much a place for just a nice, gentle ballad. So let's give this a go. This one is actually called Gentle Ballad, and we use a little piece that goes like this. So there you go. Just a very straightforward ballad. A lot of these strings and the guitars, these are taken from the new keyboard sets as well. Let's go back onto page 1 just for a second of some stuff we've done here. This is a great style. This is, if anybody remembers a great hit by Ricky Nelson, this one was called Hello Mary Lou, and with a bit of luck went like this. There you go. So a little bit of Hello Mary Lou there. How about this one? Do you remember this one by the Beatles? A little thing called Penny Lane. There we go. Now let's stick on the Christmas theme. Why not? Why not? This one's let's just choose this one and see if I can find the music. There we go. I think this will suit this one. This one shows one of the new, well, a couple of the pads actually. We're going to use a little one called Holly Bells, and this is a little pad that we wrote, just obviously specifically for Christmas things. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start the piece with that. So trigger the first chord. So we're going to use the pad, and then hopefully the intro will kick in. Use the pad again. There you go. Very pretty little style. That's one of Dave's styles. I love that. And that little pad is one of his as well. So yep, credit to Dave for that one. Let's go back in here. How about this one? Classic bit of Booker T and the MGs. There we go. So, few Hammond organ sounds there, bit of classic Booker T. Let's go back to another little ballad, and this is, again, I think this is a nice sort of steady ballad. We called this one Moody, a bit like me, really. So, goes like this. There you go. My sort of ballads they are, because there's nothing too much to get in the way of the actual playing. Somebody said, am I including demo MIDI files with the toolkit? Do you know, I hadn't thought of that, but yes, maybe I could. What I may do as well is put a set list together and maybe I'll include in each one of those a little MIDI file that we can put into Player 2, that you can get some idea of what to actually use with it. Something totally and utterly different now. This is just using the keyboard as a straight keyboard with no split in it, and it's a little bit of classical. So if anybody would like to start a collection for me, that's what they normally do in church, isn't it? So this is just a little thing called Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring, and just showing you one or two of the new sort of classical organs that we've put together. There you go, some nice, gentle, building up to big cathedral organs there. Now, I want to do a little one that just highlights how I use pads. Because pads, you can add a pad to a style, but what I like to do is use a pad in place of one of the style parts, or a few of the style parts. So what I did very quickly the other day when I had this in mind was to put together, this is it's quite a depressing piece of music, but at the same time a lovely piece of music. It's from a wonderful film. If you haven't seen it, it's a bit grim in places, but it's one hell of a bit of cinema, and that's the film Schindler's List. And it's got this very haunting theme that runs throughout. And what I've done basically is I've got a rhythm. Actually, I'm using, well, let's select it here. Yep. So we're using piano ballad rhythm, but I'm only using that to give me a bass note, really, because the only thing that's missing from the pads is a nice depth of bass. So what I've done is I've put some of the pads together. I've actually got 4 pads here that we can run. So we can start with this one, which is just a piano arpeggio. So we could use that on its own, and that actually is quite nice just on its own. But I want to show you the bits that I will bring in throughout the piece. So we can start with our piano arpeggio. Then I will probably bring in pad 1, which has just got a nice string part. And then pad 2, which is a cinematic choir. And in pad 3, just got a cinematic bell, which we can just use periodically. So we'll start with just the piano arpeggio, and we use our style. Now, all that's happening in the style is this. Really exciting, that, isn't it? Just a string bass note, but I wanted that. So what I did, I took piano ballad and actually altered the bass sound to be deep cellos, because that's the effect that I wanted. So we'll start, as I say, with our arpeggio like this. let's bring our strings in. So, look, our pads were doing the bulk of the work there, but there is a problem with pads, and that is when you have stripped a style back that much, like I have, you could either fade out because your ending's not going to work because there aren't any parts to play in the ending. And unfortunately, when you press the ending, the pads will automatically cut off. But I got a little feature here. Let's just go into the switches. I can use one of these switches to switch all the pads on or off. So what I could do, and I haven't actually tried this yet, so you're the guinea pigs for this one. So let's have a go. We'll get to that last little bit again. I'm going to press the ending followed by switch 3, which will bring all the pads back on, and that should play the pads through the ending. So let's give it a try. So we were on all our pads, weren't we? So it worked. So what I did was trigger the ending, and actually then before the ending started to play, just switched all the pads back on, and it uses the pads but takes the chords from the ending and plays you a nice little ending there. So if you... the reason we've called this a toolkit is that you can do things like this. You're free to, I suppose, think out of the box just a little bit, and there the pad was doing all the work, just using 4 different pads there. So let's go back to maybe just a little bit more music here. Oh, this is let's try this one. These are just some little country sounds that I put together. There's a wonderful sound on here called a dobro guitar, which is it's actually a metal-bodied country guitar. And let's see if we can just show you the sound. But when you play it on its own, it's a little bit of a thin sound. So what I've done in one of the keyboard sets is to mix it together with a steel slide guitar as well, and that sort of thickens it out a little bit. And if you use the assignable button 1, you get that lovely sort of country bend on it. So we'll come to that in a second, but let's just start the style like this. Yeehaw, bit of country there. So you know, I've done some little country violins that you heard there. We've used the harmonica, and we've used that dobro sound mixed with the steel guitars there. Yeah, let's try this little one. I think this fits quite well. It's not the normal way you'd play this tune, but I think this works. See what you think. There we go. Different version of yesterday for you there. We've also done, in the pads, we've also done some... let me see if I've actually got the music here to this one before I promise to play it. There we go. Yeah. So what I've been able to do is I've gone on to various guitar sites and actually copied the original strums for pieces. So one of the pieces I fancied doing was the Van Morrison song, Brown Eyed Girl. And what I've done here, I'm using two of the new pads here. The first one is called Brown Eyed Strum. That sort of speaks for itself. And the second one is called Ooh Ah. Depends how you say that, I suppose, really, doesn't it? Ooh Ah. It's a vocal sound that, first of all, says ooh, and then changes to R halfway through, which took me ages to work out how to do that because there isn't a voice that does it, but I managed to sort of get there in the end. The brown-eyed strum, what I did, I went onto a guitar site, copied the original strum, and in all Korg products, there is the most brilliant guitar strummer. It's aimed at doing the styles, but I've used it a lot on the pads here. So if you just listen, if I trigger the right sort of chord for it, there we go. So that is the correct strum for Brown Eyed Girl. Now, what I did was found a rhythm where the drum pattern and the bass line is, you know, pretty close to what I want. And what I've done is taken, if you look in the mixer here at the styles, I've muted a lot of the guitar parts or taken the volume right down because, again, I'm going to let that new strum do most of the work in the style. So if we just play the style on its own, it's this. Now, if we put our strum in, it transforms it. Have a listen. So we've got a lot of those where you're almost creating a dedicated style, but it's not a dedicated style, if that makes sense. But it's just a matter of you doing a little bit of work and just going into the mixer. You don't want 4 lots of guitars playing. Otherwise, it's all just going to get a little bit too much. And if we had that guitar playing, and then we brought the vocal pad in, it makes a really nice full style. But actually, all we're using from the original style is bass, drums, and just a very small bit of Strat guitar at a very, very low volume there. So, again, I keep coming back to the same thing, but it's why we called it a toolkit, so that you've got the choice to make up the bits that you actually want to do. Let's just cover another couple of things here. Let's just show another couple of pads. Oh, somebody's saying he likes the... can we start pads? Right, I knew that was going to come up. No, at the moment you can't synchro start the pad, which is a real shame. And it's something I have passed on to Korg, and I hope, because actually that is a relatively simple software change. So I'm, fingers crossed that will come along. But basically what the gentleman's asking is, on Yamaha, you can actually do a synchro start. So when you play that first chord, not only does your style start, but your pads start. But unfortunately, you're hearing what I'm having to do, which is either to start... I've gone off that pad now. I've gone off that setting, but let's put it back in so we can explain that properly for you. So what I'm having to do is sort of start the style, then bring the strum in, or we start with the strum and then use the synchro on the style on the next bar. It's not ideal. Hold my hands up to that, but we can work around that. Just to show you another little bit on pads, totally different style of rhythm this time. I'm using one of the factory rhythms called Bigger Band, and it's just to show you a couple of the new vocal pads that I've done. So again, let's listen to the style on its own. Just keep the low variation on, so there's not a lot going on. Let's bring our first pad in. So hopefully you can hear that vocal coming in. We've got another one in pad 3. You notice I've not programmed them to play all the time. There are gaps because you don't want them coming in all the time. But if we could maybe use a couple of these together. So let's start our rhythm again. There you go. It helps when you play the right chords as well. So, yeah, but you can see the effect there of putting the pads in. It's a really nice effect. Another one where I've used pads. One of my favourite artists when I was growing up was Gilbert O'Sullivan. He had such a distinctive voice and such a distinctive style of playing the piano. And I thought, when I was sitting doing pads, I just thought I'll do a Gilbert O'Sullivan piano riff. Just see if I can show you. The style I've chosen here is the Hey Jude pop one. And again, I've taken parts out because you don't want all the parts in. So all we've ended up with is this. Now all that's playing there is a bass, and I don't even know whether you can hear that. There's just a very light cymbal running in there. But if I bring Mr. Gilbert O'Sullivan in, it'll go like this. It transforms it because the riff is correct for, well, not just Alone Again, naturally. A lot of the Gilbert O'Sullivans, that was that sort of stock riff that he used. So pads are brilliant. They're underused, and what you need to do, you actually need to, first of all, listen to the pad. Then you need to listen to the style, and you need to take parts back out of the style so that you can not reach that situation of overkill there. Let's try this one. This is something totally different, and this is something I'm just putting together. So, like I say, you'll have to excuse it today. This is very off the cuff, and I'm just going to grab a drink. There we go. It's lovely to see so many of you on again. It's really nice. We've got a little bit of a break next week because I've got a few appointments on which I can't cancel, but then myself and Andy are back the following week, and then I'm zapping off to my house in Spain just for a few days, and then when we come back we've got another free webinar and we've got another paid for webinar before the end of the month. But I will be back with a couple of free webinars. I just need a bit of time. I've been getting the magazine finished, and there's a few things going on personally as well which we needed to sort out. But yeah, we're back on the flow of things now. So just keep looking out on YouTube or check your emails. I'll of course email you as and when we're going to do them. But yeah, it's nice to keep having these get-togethers. So let's try this one. This is a little backing track I put together, but I thought this would be nice just to show you a few of the new organ sounds. And this is the beauty of the fact that I can just call up my user organ sounds, and you'll see I'm able to go from one to the other, different pages, without any rhythms or tempo changes. So let's give this a go. This really is a different arrangement. I like occasionally to sit and do something totally and utterly different, and I think this sort of qualifies. There we go. There's something different for you. So just going through a few little drawbar settings there and a sort of funk reggae version of What a Wonderful World. Yeah, we're coming towards the end of today's session. First of all, thanks for bearing with me in that it is very, very off the cuff, and I do apologise because normally I love to be so prepared for this sort of thing, and I just haven't been able to today. So apologies for that, but we've got through it. I hope you've enjoyed a little sneak preview of the software. There we go. I keep trying to read the comments, but my iPad's in the way. So, yeah, so I thought I'd leave you with this is a little arrangement I put together a few years ago now, and I just found it again yesterday. And I thought, we'll do this. And this, again, uses some of the new sounds that we've put together. One which I really like. Do you remember when we were all kids? And the trouble is, it's so long ago now. We all had one of those little toy pianos that was like, it had sort of wooden keys and it made a sort of clonky sound, didn't it? So what I've done is put a piano mixed with a glockenspiel, and it sort of gives that. I mean, it's actually 2 in tune for those little things we used to have as kids, but it makes a lovely sound, and I've actually called it Toy Piano. We've got a lovely string sound which I've put together here. There is a voice on Korg called Trumpet Atmosphere, where you've got a trumpet and you can hear this little muted trumpet bouncing off. Well, I've done an edit on that to suit this sort of this sort of piece of music, and then we're going to use one of our other sounds that we've done called ambient nylon guitar. So yeah, this software will be available in about a week to 10 days time. It will be ready to ship. There'll be a full instruction manual. There will be suggestions of how to use it. There'll be video backup, and of course all the sounds, the styles, the pads. They're all in there. So at this point, because I think he's watching today, he's keeping an eye on me, I'd like to thank Dave Medcar for his input in the software and all the hard work that he's put in. And thanks again for watching. And we'll leave you with this one. It's a little Disney piece, and it's called Beauty and the Beast. I'll tell you what, if you don't mind me starting that again, because I was busy talking to you, telling you about the sounds, and I forgot to set it up. There we go. That's the right one. So we'll do this one. There you go, a little bit of Beauty and the Beast to finish with there. Hope you've enjoyed that. Very informal, very impromptu session, and we will be back with you at some point next week, so I'll let you know. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you all soon. Bye for now.